vision hasn't changed. Ultimately, we're still here to remove friction for the consumers and to allow many of the driver partners, to allow the merchants better opportunities to access the customers and their market. I think it really depends on the type of work that different people do. And if you think about it, you've got, for example, some of my data scientists, people who code, individual contributors, they actually really like dedicated time. And so this is good for them, where you can decompose a problem into a big chunk that they can then work on quietly for X number of hours. Individual contributors love working from home. Big problems, big decisions, probably better to do it face to face. There are different ways to do it. You just have to be very thoughtful, very deliberate about it, because I think what we have lost in time of COVID is that everything is now deliberate. There is nothing that is serendipitous. There's very little by chance. When I do go back to the office on some of these occasions and I meet some of my colleagues that I haven't spoken to for a while, it is great, right? A lot of ideas then start to fly. How do you reintroduce some of those serendipitous interactions? When the government came out and was supporting people who are self-employed, I think there were about 190,000 people that actually applied for it. So we see that it is being self-employed as a status is actually very important for many Singaporeans. The second point is, if you think of the gig economy, it allows you flexibility to pursue things in a portfolio. So if you think of a portfolio approach, so for example, we have driver partners who are wedding photographers, and they've got a lot of equipment. So during the weekend, they pursue their passion, which is wedding photography. That's when weddings normally happen. During the weekdays, they drive, and that helps supplement their income. And because they have that flexibility of timing, they also pursue their studies in between. That is a real portfolio life, a portfolio career that you can then take, and you can substitute these blocks. A creative block, a money-earning block, as well as a educational or an enrichment block. Or you can substitute that with family, and then you can then be the caregiver. Many of our drivers choose to do this because it gives them an opportunity to send their kids to school in the morning. And that is that critical time where they actually get to interact with their family. So I'd say not so much a challenge, but an opportunity afforded by being part of the gig economy is being able to dictate and structure your own life. You need to be very disciplined about it. You need to have a clear view of what excites you and what you want to do with it. You need to enjoy the flexibility and need the flexibility. Not everyone is suited for a gig economy role, and if structure helps and structure really works for you, then there are other options. But if you need flexibility, if you have life circumstances or life interests that are multifaceted, I think that this actually can work very well for that group of people. You know, it has been said that one of the man's greatest inventions is actually the notion of a corporation. And the notion of a corporation is just the fact that you get a group of men and women able to work towards a collective objective outcome. And part of that is around the administration and the coordination of it, which is things like meetings. And everyone talks about how bad meetings are and how much they dislike meetings. And a lot of ink has been spilled about how good companies do it. I'd say one of the things that I will definitely be taking into, going forward is ensuring that the quality of coordination, quality of decision making is much better, because I think everyone has had that opportunity. Second, being willing to work from home, work remotely is very beneficial for colleagues who either have young children, have got needs to be at home. Just being able to take a 30-minute nap in the middle of the day is fantastic. Ride-hailing is a critical component of public transport infrastructure. Point-to-point is critical, will be more critical in future. If you're elderly or have health issues, it may be more convenient, may be safer for you to take a ride directly. So I think that's one use case that becomes more relevant under COVID and going forward. Second, what we've seen in our data from the analysis is as people work from the office less, it's not that they're not going out, but they are choosing to go to what they call a third place to meet. So it used to be the Starbucks, it could be your local coffee shop or your local place to meet. So the volume is there. People are taking shorter trips, there's a lot more circulation, and it's interesting that as these consumer patterns change, we just need to make sure that there's enough supply and demand to go to your regional centers. We're really excited about 2021. Gojek as a company has an aspiration of generating 50% of its revenues outside of Indonesia. And to move to that, Singapore is obviously a critical market. It's what we call a market that has high order value. It's a wealthy market. And to support our growth plans in Singapore, in 2021, we'll see the rolling out of a taxi service. We will see rolling out of a corporate service that companies can then pay for their employees, which could be a very nice perk as people all start to return to the office some days of the week. We will see extra large. So if you have a family and you're traveling locally to visit local tourist sites, that would be very convenient for them. So these are some of the bigger rollouts that we're expecting to see in 2021. So redoubling on our international efforts, redoubling on Singapore.